There's no place to contemplate mortality like a cemetery, and Grand Canyon has one as well. This gate, erected May 30th, 1928, sure has held up nicely. Why would you want to visit a cemetery? Well, one is to get a bit of a sense of history. There are historic figures buried here. Two is to hear some of the interesting stories that their gravestones and their lives tell. Three is to get a sense of the artistry of the tombstones that have been established here. And four is to do some confronting of mortality. In 1956, two airliners crashed over Grand Canyon, the United Airlines and the TWA airliner. 128 people died. The people from the TWA airliner were buried in Flagstaff. This monument exists here, and I thought it was just to commemorate their deaths, but actually 29 unidentified bodies are buried here in 4 separate coffins. You kind of get caught up in your time, and I was wondering why they didn't do DNA analysis to repatriate those bodies to the families that love them. But in 1956, they did not have that kind of DNA analysis. The air crash must have been such a mess, and unfortunately, 29 souls are buried here, never identified, and in a mass grave. The cemetery is rather haphazard and has these naturalistic stones on many of the graves, which is quite unique and beautiful. Not as regimented and organized as some cemeteries that you'll find. Quite a beautiful sight among these ponderosa pines. With the sun at this angle, you can read this wooden tombstone in memory of Charles Oscar Lovenskiold, born 1906, died 1925, and the epitaph is no longer legible. 19 years old. Don't see many wooden tombstones now. A little research after the fact shows this was Charles Oscar Lovenskiold, died at age 19 of appendicitis. His father was a superintendent in the BIA on the Havasupai Reservation. The choice of the simple wooden tombstone was that a choice. It wasn't a matter of poverty. This grave, Captain John Hance, an explorer after whom Hance Rapids have been named. Beautiful stone. Here's a unique stone, a bit of petrified wood. Watson Mosley Lacey, 1883 to 1963. Quite a good long life. It's a windy day. Hopefully the sound still works okay. In other videos, I'd said that I intended to have my ashes spread here at Grand Canyon National Park, and that was permissible up until the summer of 2023. The Park Service, in consultation with the 11 tribes who consider this their ancestral homeland, decided it wasn't respectful of their sacred land. Sacred is a word that irritates me a bit because it elevates the importance of one set of myths over another set of myths. Sacred beliefs may be why people flew airplanes into the World Trade Center. I don't really believe that one myth is more sacred than another. And to prohibit people from having their ashes spread in the place they love strikes me as unfair. But I'm not the decision maker here. I guess I'll have to be spread as an outlaw set of ashes. Mark A. Tracy, only 22 years old when he died in 1927. A lot of the people recognized by their military membership. Here's an old one. Mr. William Donaldson, Company E, the 3rd Mounted Cavalry. That must have been a while ago. There's John W. Harris, Company 1, 2nd Tennessee Infantry in the Spanish-American War. The Spanish-American War, I don't remember my history well enough to know when it was. I'll have to look that one up. It's a freeform cemetery, many different styles. This one looks more recent, but no dates. Pat and Ron Brown, traveling together, always ready for the next adventure. Here's Betty Rich Swanson, just an old Harvey girl at rest in the place she loved. Here's Elsie Wordy, another Harvey girl, 42 years old, just turned 42 when she passed. Interestingly enough, this stone has begun cracking. Our monuments, whether wood or stone, are not permanent. Mr. Gunnar Widforss, born in Sweden, buried this man there. Here's his place, where meteors shoot, clouds form, lightnings are loosened, stars come and go. Lofty designs must close in like effects. Lofty lion, leave him still, loftier than the world suspects, living and dying. Paintbrush here, an artist, I would assume. Here's Mark A. Track, hand-carved stone, February 5th, 1905, June 7th, 1927. 22-year-old, one might imagine, an accidental death. It's quite touching here in the cemetery. Long lives, short lives, babies who passed away. All helps one to contemplate mortality. I think coming here, I anticipated a sense of history, a sense of artistry. But what strikes me most is mortality. Babies who died, young people who died in accidents, people who live full lives. But life is finite and all life ends. And I think as I walk away, I'm struck with a bit of sadness and a bit of a realization that all life ends. I guess the reminder of mortality is my biggest takeaway from my visit today to Grand Canyon Cemetery.